Gentleman Joe here with a unboxing video. So, to give you all some context, I went on a hiking trip, right? I took my new DJI Mavic Air 2, my Canon 80D, and went hiking at this abandoned station up in the mountains. It was really cool. It was awesome. It's an old military installation. So I come back. I'm really excited to get working on this video. And Premiere crashes constantly. It has the hardest time rendering. I have to render it in 15-minute increments or my computer shuts off. So I finally render everything, get it all edited, color correct it, do all that. I start to encode it, and it starts crashing even more. Okay, it's an old PC, it's from 2013. It's a HP Envy H8. It's got an old AMD FX 6200 processor in it and like a NVIDIA GeForce 660 Ti. Nothing crazy. It can play Far Cry 3 at max settings, and that's basically it. So this was basically my all-terrain rig, if you will. I would use it to do anything, and now that 4K video and everything else is kind of in the loop, I needed to upgrade my PC. That PC is now cooked, constantly rendering, and I'm trying to get this video to encode. It was the final nail in the coffin. I've had the processor in that machine was my bottleneck for such a long time, and finally it just died. The PC will run for about maybe an hour now, so before it just crashes, and it needs something. I probably needs a new processor or something to go into it, or it needs some serious debugging. I'm not getting into it. It's vastly outdated. So I just said it's time to just be a big boy and build the PC I want. So I went on Newegg, did the PC builder, and I built it. So everything's here. The thing is about Newegg, why these are not in Newegg boxes, is because their shipping times are horribly inaccurate. I paid for 2-day shipping, and it's coming Monday. And then tracking update said possibly Tuesday, which is not 2-day shipping considering I ordered it all Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. with rush processing. So these 3 items, the Wi-Fi card, a motherboard, and the CPU cooler, these came from Showtime Computer. Shout out to Showtime. Wi-Fi card, I know everyone, if you're talking about gaming, Wi-Fi is a cardinal sin. I don't care at this point, really. It's just simple. So yeah, let's start with the case. I went with a standard size, larger case, just in case I ever felt like upgrading. Thing about this HP case that I have right there, I used to only go through proprietary, like HP or Dell computers, but a lot of their motherboard sets are proprietary mounting, so you can't ever swap out the motherboard, which is, you know, if that's something you want to do, that could be an upgrade for you. And that used the old AM3 chipset, so the only place I could go was the AMD FX, I think 9800 or 8900, something like that. It was like the first CPU to get 5 gigs, and it's a piece of shit. So I didn't bother upgrading. I just said fuck the PC. It's dead. We're just gonna be a big boy. So here's the case. It's a Etho Pro series Fantrex case. It's just a generic, under $100 case. I didn't feel like spending tons of money. And the thing about me is I don't care much about all the RGB LED stuff. I don't really care for it, so just figured I would delete all that stuff. I don't need it in this case. I would probably keep it simple with just a blue a blue LED light. So I know some of you are going to say, why aren't you doing this on a ESD safe surface? That's because I like to risk it for the biscuit. This is a massive case. I had no idea it was going to be this large. This is definitely larger than my current case. But everything's nice and packaged pretty well. Review said that the glass was damaged on theirs, but it's under $100. I don't really care. It's gonna go sit in a corner. So it's not a bad case. Sounds like we got all sorts of mounting screws in there. So the case is open. We'll put this to the side and we'll get a better camera view when actual assembly is happening. So I'm gonna put this out over here. So next, let's talk about the motherboard. This is a B550 Tomahawk MSI. What I ordered from Newegg was an MSI B550. Wi-Fi wasn't the Tomahawk or the Gaming Plus, so this is better than the one I had ordered. It was slightly more money, about $80 more, but I'm gonna make that money back when I get my refund for the expedited shipping for it not being here. And it's packaged nice. No problem there. So we'll go case, motherboard, and then we'll go on from there. So I don't know what's in these other two boxes. It should be RAM, power supply, GPU, CPU, Blu-ray drive, and a card reader. I need a Blu-ray drive if I ever want to rip DVDs. Sometimes I do videos for people, so to be able to burn a disc is nice. I've also been able to convert VHS to DVD, so I just need it. I need a reader. Can't go on it without one. So in here we have, that's packaged horribly. It doesn't even come in its own box. Here we have the LG DVD reader. You'd expect a company like LG would actually have a box for this. That is not the case. We have a meal kit card. That's okay. Great. And in here we have a MSI AMD Radeon 5700 XT. So this was a budget card. I didn't want to go crazy. This is going to do everything I need it to do right now. I figured MSI would link up well between motherboard and the GPU, so I just went with that. Called it a day. We got this TP-Link Wi-Fi card, yeah, whatever, and this gaming GT CPU cooler. I said, is this a loud cooler versus liquid cool? He said, I watched a couple videos and it turns out that liquid cooling can be louder because it's got dual fans. This only has one fan. It's a little bit bigger, but I think considering the size of this case, we're not going to have a problem fitting that cooler in there. And this is the last box. So in here should be the RAM, power supply, and the CPU, which is a Ryzen 9 3900 XT. It's the best Ryzen one out there, I think, at least according to Newegg, or what I did as I was shopping. The guy at Showtime Computer was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good CPU. You're not gonna have any problems." So there we go. Here's the inside of this box. Oh yeah, we got our Western Digital solid state drive. This is my first time building a PC with a solid state drive, so that'll be fun. The card reader. This is great for photography and whatnot. That way I don't have to really plug the camera in. I can just take the card out, pop it in, boom, done. We have some Corsair fans. I'm going to leave these in here because I'm not sure if I need them. I suspect I will with this case. I think it'll give it better airflow, so that's there. Win 10. Excellent. Put that last. EVGA 850 watt power supply. I wanted room to expand should I need to, so I went a little bit bigger than I needed to. I believe the PC builder said I only needed 650, and I said nope. Something's gonna happen eventually down the road, so I wanted 850 just in case, get that little bit of extra wattage for buffer room. We have our Vengeance RGB Pro 32 gigs of RAM. This is the first time building anything with RGB in it, so I tried to avoid it as much as possible. So if I can, I'll set it to just be blue and call it a day. I'm not big on the RGB thing. And here is my Ryzen 9. Doesn't say model number. 3900 XT, 12 core, 24 thread, 3.8 gigahertz. So here is the entire PC build. Future Joe here. So let's talk about this PC build. The only thing I didn't show at the very end was putting the case back on and the fans on the top. This PC does everything I need it to do. It's a good mix of workstation and gaming. However, when I originally built it, I found my bottleneck very quickly and almost right off the bat. The 5700 XT is not a 4K graphics card. I run my computer to a 4K TV. I like the high-res stuff. Playing games in 4K with the 5700 XT is hard to handle. Red Dead runs at about 25 FPS, which is even lower than Xbox One's performance with it. Far Cry 5 ran at like 55 FPS and had these random micro stutters and crashes to a green screen. So I realized very quickly that the card is not made for 4K. This was swapped out for an RTX 3090, and the 5700 XT went to live on in some bizarre abyss called Facebook Marketplace. Using the benchmark that everyone's using right now, Cyberpunk 2077, which if we're being honest, isn't that good of a game, bugs or otherwise. I can run Cyberpunk 2077 at 45 FPS, just regular walking around the city, and it dips to about 39 during combat and things of that nature. DLSS is on auto, everything else is maxed out. I wanted ray tracing, I like the look of ray tracing, it really makes everything look beautiful. I am pleased with how this PC came out once everything was said and done. It's able to render my 4K videos in not 24 hours, if you can believe that. With the setup as it is right now, it cuts an enormous amount of time off rendering and content creation. I understand that there was some misinformation in this video as I was filming it. This video was filmed in early October, and the best I saw on newegg.com at the time was the 3900 XT. I had no idea that the 5900X was coming out, the 5950X was coming out. I had no idea about any of that. It wasn't until I started doing a little bit more research into why am I getting these cuts to green screen in Far Cry 5, why am I not able to play this in 4K, such and such, yada yada, that I wasn't able to find out like where I went wrong with this build, and that's mostly the 5700 XT. With Cyberpunk, I use about 30% CPU with the 3900 XT, so it's really not that big of a deal. I think the CPU is perfectly fine for what I need it to do for gaming and content creation. So it's not the best of the best, but it does what I need it to do, and I'm fairly confident with its room for expansion. So I hope you enjoyed this PC unboxing and quick build video. I've been asked to build a PC for a coworker. If that comes to fruition, then I'll do a video on that too. That will be interesting, that'll be fun. So I thank you for watching. Now that Christmas has come and gone and I got some more content creation tools, making better videos is gonna be easier for me. I got some more camera goodies and I'm able to create better videos. So I think if you've been here since the start, since the resurrection of this channel, I thank you for sticking around, and I'm excited to show you the things I have planned for the future. So thank you for watching, thanks for the support, and I'll see you in the next one.